Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're talking Devil Wears Prada. So this is the 5th part of the series. It's most likely going to be the second to last one because not much more to go of the movie, but man, am I enjoying this so much. I just appreciate every single one of you that have left me such wonderful comments. It really makes my day. You have no idea. I really appreciate every single one of you that take the time to write me. I read them all. I really do. And I thank you for that. So let's get into this episode. Before we do, I do have to plug my Patreon. If you're interested, check it out. We do deep dives on Sex and the City. So we're going episode by episode over there. There's quite a bit of episodes built up now, so you could check that out if you're interested. As little as $5 a month. The middle tier is $10 a month. That one gets you access to those episodes as well as Always Sunny. And then the top tier is Picking What We Watch. So check that out. Let's get into this episode. Okay, so we left off with Andy being a dick. Now, Andy was having to tell Emily that Miranda wanted her to go to Paris after Emily had prepped for months, and this was her dream. She was so excited about it. And it's like Miranda knew that, so she chose Andy. Now, again, in the book, what happens is Emily gets mono, so she has to take Andy begrudgingly. But in the movie, it's a little bit more sinister where it seems to be... I don't know, Miranda seems to have a connection with Andy, I suppose, but also she knows that it's going to irk Emily as well. So a little behind the scenes info here. When Andy finds out that she's going to Paris and not Emily, if you look closely, she's wearing a necklace that has an Eiffel Tower charm on it. That necklace is by Chanel. So I just love tidbits like that. I think it's so interesting when they give us little Easter eggs like that. Okay, so now Andy has Lily's art show. She has to go tell everybody about having to go to Paris. Now let me tell you a little behind the scenes stuff here. Lily is played by Tracy Thomas, and Doug is played by Rich Sommer. So both Tracy and Rich appear in the Judd Apatow show Love. They didn't actually have any scenes together. But what's funny about that is Judd Apatow, who wrote Knocked Up, originally had cast Anne Hathaway as the lead in that movie. Which, of course, led me on a deep dive to find out, well, why didn't she play that role? Well, she backed out of the film due to quote-unquote creative reasons, which basically means she and Apatow didn't agree because he wanted to use real footage of women giving birth during the movie, and she wasn't into that. Okay, so at this art show, Andy shows up. She's telling them about Paris. And she's looking around, and who does she run into but Christian? He asks about her going to Paris, and she's like, actually, I am going. And they're getting more flirty. He ends up putting a smooch on her cheek, and she's kind of smiling, and Lily sees it from across the room. Now, I think Lily's being a little bit judgy here. And yeah, Andy screwed up because she's basically flirting with this guy when she's got Nate, but I don't know. I'm just thinking real life best friend. Is she going to be that pissy with you? Or she might say, like, what are you doing? But I don't know if she'd be quite as pissy as Lily was. But, whatever. Okay, so they're talking about going to Paris, and Nate overhears. So Nate's all kinds of pissed off. Like, you're going to Paris? Now, I didn't like this part of Emily. Emily sometimes can be... I'm saying Emily. I'm so sorry. Andy. I didn't like this part of Andy. Andy can be a brat because she says, oh, you're going to give me a hard time too, and walks off. So Nate's over it, and he deserves a little bit nicer talking to than she's talking to him. There's times where, like in the book, he should have been a little bit more supportive, I thought. But in the movie, they're showing it as she's just treating him like shit over and over. And in the book, I guess it's just a little more gradual. But here, it is just like, I don't know. It's not going well. So they decide they're going to take a break. She thinks this trip to Paris is coming at a great time. And that's that for them. But during this scene, when he's walking away after they've decided to take a break, she says Nate. And she says it in a way like, let's work this out or let's talk. But her phone rings, and we all know who that is. She says, I'm sorry, and he said, the person who calls you take, that's the relationship you're in. I hope you're happy together. So she says, hello, Miranda, and the scene fades. And then we are in Paris. So I have some interesting facts about this that I want to talk to you guys about. Let's get into Paris. Okay, during this scene, loud music is playing. It's called City of Blinding Lights by U2. So some behind-the-scene facts about Paris. They only did 2 days of production that took place in Paris. They flew out Anne and some of the other cast members, but it was too expensive to fly Meryl to Europe. They didn't explain that, and I want to know all the details. Does that mean it's in her contract she has to fly private? Like, how's that work? Dying to know. Too expensive to fly her out, so instead her scenes were shot in the U.S., which kind of surprised me. Now, this is interesting. Daytime scenes in Paris with Miranda and Andy. You know how they're in the back of the car talking quite a bit? Well, do you know how they shot that? It was an S-Class Mercedes that they had to physically cut in half. So they cut it in half so they could get the camera angles that they needed and make it look right. How crazy is that? So they got a hold of this S-Class Mercedes. It was actually a pre-production model. So the makers couldn't have sold it anyway, so they were able to cut it in half, use it for this movie, and then discard it. Okay, so they're doing a lot of fashion show stuff. Of course, Miranda's in the front row, along with Nigel, and we see Andy a few rows back. Let me tell you some more stuff from the book here. Now, this was so good and so detailed in the book, and they don't do it here, and it drives me crazy. Before Andy left, she was freaking out about Paris. She had no idea what she was going to do. So Nigel really helped her out. I need to reread this because I'm probably going to get it a little bit wrong. But in a nutshell, Nigel helps her out and makes her this book. It's like a lookbook, basically, where he puts together all these outfits, all these looks, what accessory to wear with what top, bottom, shoes, purse, all that stuff. He gives her suitcases full of the most beautiful things she's ever seen in her life, and she's super thrilled about it. He even broke it down to what to wear to what event, how to dress, and when in doubt, always dress up. So I love her clothes here in Paris. The movie did an excellent job on this part, I thought. I really enjoyed seeing Andy's looks here. Okay, so much going on here. They're walking the red carpet. Miranda's being interviewed by E. Christian walks up to Andy and says, you owe me for the Harry Potter book. So he's just trying to get to know her better, take her out. And he wants to know if she's working tonight. She says, well, Miranda has a dinner, and so she might be free. He asks about the boyfriend. She pulls a face, and he wants to know what time to pick her up. He says he'll call her. Okay, so Andy goes back to her suite, and let me tell you a little bit more about this from the book. So it's a whole thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful suite, but it's like what is it? Like an assistant suite, basically, and it's right next to Miranda's. So whenever Miranda needs her, she just can't get away from her, basically. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. If I'm understanding correctly, I'm looking at it's like maybe like an adjoining foyer or something, or I guess it's mostly Miranda's with a little executive suite next door. So that way Miranda doesn't have to see Andy when she doesn't want to, but when she needs her, she's like literally right there. There's a scene where Andy finally gets to relax and get a massage in the book, but literally like 2 minutes in, Miranda's calling her, needs her, throws this speech that she has to rewrite, and that might come up in the movie, I can't remember, but has to rewrite a speech. So she basically has to pay all this money for this massage that she literally got 2 minutes into, and that was that. She can't relax. I just think she looks so beautiful here. I love this black top with this pencil skirt that's gray. I love this look so much. I think she looks really pretty. Her hair looks good. Her makeup looks good. I said it before. I'll say it again. I love these Paris looks. All right, let's talk about this scene. So Miranda, she's clearly upset. She doesn't have makeup on, and the reason that's a big deal is because we always see her like always dressed to the nines, glammed up, everything else. But it was actually Meryl's decision. She came up with the idea that here we would see Miranda more vulnerable, no makeup, hair not perfectly styled, all that stuff. She again, in the book, I think they do a little better job of explaining that she lets Andy in a little bit here. She'll drop the meanness for about 3 minutes, but then as soon as she does, it's back, and it's like it never happened, meaning she's back to being cold and scary again, and it's like she was never vulnerable. But in the movie here, what's happening, as we know, they're talking about the dinner and the seating arrangements, and that her husband will not be coming, and Andy talks about picking him up from the airport, and she says, well, if you speak to him and he decides to rethink the divorce, then you fetch away. So that's her way of letting Andy know, of course, that they are separating/divorcing. So again, in a rare moment of vulnerability from Miranda, we find out she's upset about another divorce splashed across page 6. She talks about the headlines that might come up, like Snow Queen drives away another Mr. Priestly. And she genuinely cries and says, I don't care what anybody writes about me. It's just unfair to the girls, her twins. So it's like as soon as she lets her guard down and Andy starts being nice to her, trying to tell her she's sorry, I can help you cancel your evening, and you can take some time, whatever it is, it's like Miranda's like, nope, back to Ice Queen, cold, scary. Like, Andy says, is there anything else I can do? And Miranda coldly says, your job. That's all. And that's it for her. She's being dismissed. So, all right. So we have a scene of Andy doing her mascara, staring at herself in the mirror. And we see a quick flash of what she's thinking. P.S. Look at this outfit here. I love it so much. I'm jealous. I want this Paris wardrobe so much. It's so beautiful. She's doing her mascara here. And again, I talked about the eyeliner. I'll mention it again here. As she gets further into this job, the thicker the eyeliner is getting. That was something that they actually talk about in the behind-the-scenes stuff. They wanted to give her a thicker line, a more, I guess, bold look, and a further departure from her original self. Well, Nigel knocks on the door, wants to see Miranda's itinerary for tomorrow, and he asks, who put that outfit together for you? So meaning that it came from his lookbook. Oh, that was it. Nigel, did he come on the trip in the book? I don't think he did, because he put together a lookbook for her. Now I can't remember. I guess I need to reread the book again. But anyway, he had put together that lookbook for her. He wanted to know who put together this look for her. She said she picked it out, and he is completely impressed by her. He basically says, my work here is done. So we find out, he says he's celebrating, and let's get some champagne. It's a dream job for a million girls. So much like Carrie Bradshaw, Andy thinks he's talking about her, and he's like, no, I'm talking about me. And we find out James Holt, remember the guy we met around it's right in the same scene where we meet Christian, the good-looking guy that she was picking up something for Miranda. He's the designer, where Miranda didn't like his bow dress. Okay, so James Holt, somebody's invested in him. They're taking it global. He wants a partner to help him get even bigger, and he's chosen Nigel to do that. So Nigel is thrilled. He wants to do this. He talks about, I can't imagine coming to Paris and actually being able to see Paris. It's just not, he just doesn't have time to relax because of Runway. He says it's the first time in 18 years that he can call the shots in his own life, and he's truly happy. And he makes a joke about betting her size 6 ass. And she says 4, meaning that she's dropped to a size 4, something he always told her to do. And again, it's something I mentioned before, but in real life, that's exactly what Anne Hathaway did during the filming of the movie. She started as a size 6, she dropped to a size 4. They cheers to them, and that's where I'm going to end this part, because there's one section left. We have a lot to talk about in that one. While I got you here, I do want to bring up something else. I love that movie, Julia and Julie. Did you guys see it? Did you like it? The movie about Julia Child that came out in 2009 with Amy Adams. It's one of those movies that anytime it's on, I have to sit down and watch it. Parts of it aren't great, but it's kind of like this, where I just kind of enjoy watching it. Well, that, of course, Stanley Tucci and Meryl Streep play husband and wife. And I don't know, I was just thinking about that movie a lot lately, and Is that something you guys want to recap? Is that something you guys would want to see? I know it's obscure. I just wondered. Stanley Tucci was on my mind, and I just wondered if that was something you guys would be interested in. So again, thanks for everything. Thanks for all the supportive comments. Thank you for watching. Thanks for just all of it. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are enjoying the recap as much as I'm enjoying them. And yeah, I can't wait to read all your comments. Let me know if you have another movie in mind. Somebody suggested the Shopaholic series movie, and I'll be honest with you, I've reread that Shopaholic book. It's kind of like this one. I've probably reread it like 7 times. It's one of those silly frou-frou books that just kind of, when I'm in a dark headspace, it kind of lifts me up a little bit because it's just nonsense. The movie is not great on that one, I'll be honest with you, but the book is so cute, and I really enjoy it. So is that something you guys would be interested in? I don't know. Just let me know in the comments. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.